Hi folks, we're going to take a look at number 1 from the homework. So here we've got someone who's got a rectangular garden which measures 3 meters by 3 meters, and they want to create a uniform border around 3 sides of the garden. So a little different from some of the other ones we've seen. And they want the area of the border and the area of the garden to be equal. And then they want to know how wide the border should be. So as usual, I'm going to start with a diagram. So I'll start with my rectangular garden, which is in fact a square. It's 3 by 3, and we want to create a border around 3 sides of this garden. Okay, and it's a uniform border, so we assume that it's the same all over. And what they want us to do is to determine the width of this border. So I'm going to give that a name. So I'll call that X, and since it's uniform, X is the same all around. So notice here, this is probably not a very accurate diagram, but I drew it like this to leave myself lots of room to draw everything I need in it. Okay, now the other piece of information that they give us is that the area of the border, okay, so this sort of 3-part border has to be the same as the area of the garden inside. Okay, so the area of the border, okay, I'll call that AB, has to be equal to the area of the garden, and of course the area of the garden is just 9 meters squared, 3 times 3. But I don't have a nice formula for the area of this type of shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work with the total area. So the total area of the garden is made up of that interior portion plus this part which goes around. So the total area is going to be equal to 2 times 9, since these two things have the same area, so 18. So this is how I'm going to start my problem. I have that the area, which of course, given that it's a rectangle, is given by length times width, okay, is going to be the function that I'm going to try to solve here. All right, so I know what the area needs to be. The area needs to be 18 meters squared. The problem with the right-hand side is that I've got 2 variables. All right, so what I need to try to do is write these 2 variables using only 1 variable. And so this is where I'm going to go back to my diagram, and I see that the length of my garden is just equal to 3 plus 2x on either side. Okay, and the width of my garden, which is going to be this part here, is equal to, again, 3, the width of the interior part, plus just 1x, because I only have this on 3 sides. So this is going to be 3 plus x. And so now I can input these into the equation that I want to solve, and we're going to see that not only we're going to have 1 variable, but that it's going to be a quadratic function. Okay, so this is 3 plus 2x times 3 plus x. Okay, and it's quadratic because when I expand this, I'm going to see that I'm going to end up with an x squared. So once I end up with a quadratic equation, so notice here there was nothing in this question that had to do with finding a maximum area or a minimum perimeter. So that means I'm not going to be completing the square and working with the vertex, but I'm going to be solving a quadratic equation. Of course, to do that, I need to expand everything, bring all terms to one side, and have 0. So I'll have 0 on that side here. Let's expand this product of binomials. So 3 times 3 is 9. Here I have 3x plus 6x. Okay, so plus 9x. And then plus 2x times x, so plus 2x squared. And then I'm going to bring the 18 to the other side, so minus 18. And when I simplify here, I'm going to put the squared term first, so 2x squared. My x term second, so plus 9x. And here I have not 180, but 18. Sorry about that. I have 9 minus 18 is negative 9. All right, now I have not just a quadratic equation, but one that's in the form that'll allow me to use the quadratic formula. All right, now you could try factoring this. I'm taking a quick look and I don't get a sense that it's going to factor, but you could give it a try if you think it might factor. I'm just going to go straight to using the quadratic formula here. So here x is equal to negative b, so negative 9 plus or minus the square root of b squared, so 9 squared is 81, minus 4 times a, which is 2, times c, which is negative 9, all over 2 times a. Okay, and before I put in my calculator, I'm going to do a little simplification because I find that that helps avoid silly mistakes. So 9 plus or minus. So the first thing I'm going to do is calculate what's inside the square root. So I've got 81 minus 4 times 2 times -9. So that gives me 153, and that's definitely not a perfect square. Okay, all over 4. And now this is what I'll input in my calculator. Now, since this is an application question, I'm expecting to get approximated answers and not exact answers. Okay, so let's put this in here. I have -9 plus the square root of 153 equals, and then I'm going to divide that by 4, and I get 0.84, or the other answer is going to be -9 minus square root of 153. I think we know that this is not going to be valid, but we should still find it. Okay, so -5.34, so we should find it and then eliminate it because x represents a length here. All right, so let's take a look at what they're actually asking me for, and the only thing they're asking me for is how wide the border should be. So I have my answer. So border, okay, should be 0.84 meters wide. All right. I always have to go check the question because they might have asked us what's the new dimensions of the garden, in which case this would not be my answer. I'd have to find the length and width. All right. So just to recap, okay, as I almost say, anything that has some geometry to it, you should use a diagram. Make sure you're reading carefully. Don't assume it's exactly the same as the other questions we've solved. In this case here, we only went around 3 of the sides. Okay, and then once you write your equation, make sure you rewrite it in terms of one variable, and then make sure you don't apply the quadratic formula until you have it in the correct format. Okay, that's it for this one.